It's time for Q&A in the Kitchen. It's a podcast and YouTube series where tattoo artists and a piercer talk about some of the more common questions those that collect tattoos and piercings may have. Brought to you in part by Skin Kitchen Tattoo and the Axiom Body Piercing Studio. Just to let you know who all's here today, we have directly across from me, Jimmy St. John, tattoo artist at the Skin Kitchen. Brent Starr, tattoo artist at the Skin Kitchen. Right here to my left is Jack Lowe, owner and tattoo artist at the Skin Kitchen. And I'm DaVo, and I do piercing at the Axiom. What we're going to talk about today is inspiring your artist. Basically, you go in and the person, what is the key elements you can tell that person to get them to kind of do that creative spark and get moving?
So maybe
kind of inspire them.
The best way to get your artist's brain wrapped around what you're wanting, convey your idea to them so you can get the best results.
Exactly.
Yeah. Have a good idea of what you want. Like, you're pretty set on something, like you want a Oriental dragon, or you want a race car sleeve, or whatever it is that you want. Make sure that you have a pretty good idea of it in your mind, and hopefully some decent reference, or at least you can tell your artist clearly what your goal is, and that really helps us a lot to kind of get our juices going. I know it does for me.
Yeah.
And the more excited they are about that piece, the more excited I get about it, because I'm already excited to tattoo.
Yeah.
You know, I love doing tattoos. I don't care what I tattoo. I just want to tattoo.
I think Yeah, some people, it's kind of a fine line in a way, because some people will come in and try to lay this kind of story on you and talk about kind of all these details that aren't important quite yet. And there's kind of some key elements that I like to know before I can really start building.
Yeah.
And I equate tattooing a lot to kind of building a home or something, because of just what I've been around. I've grown up. And so where are we building this? Are we building it on a rock? We're building it on sand? We building it on, dirt? I gotta there's key things. So where is it, and how big do you want this sucker?
Yep.
So I know what land you're willing to give up for the footprint of this home, and what kind of, foundation am I going to need to build for it. So, and once we get there, I know what machines I'm going to need. I know how many people roughly I'm going to need. Now I need to tell these people what I need them to build. So, what is your idea? What are you thinking? So, at that point, I want to hear, I want to get something here, we'll say, I want something on my upper arm. Okay. Do you want to keep it under a sleeve? Before I even know what it is, really what I even know the elements are, how... I don't want to waste my brain on building all these things in my brain. And then you go, but I want it this big on my ankle. Right. Yeah. So I want to kind of know, all right, are we painting the side of a building here? Are we touching up a painting you have already? There's all these avenues that our brains can go to.
Are you adding on to something that's already there?
Yeah.
Are you building an add-on?
Yeah.
So when someone comes in, the first thing I want to know is, where are we at and how big are we going? That way I can just start kind of getting the overall scale and scape and spot where something's going to have to flow.
Sure.
So if I know it's something that's going to be on an upper arm, okay, I know that the space is going to be more tall than it is wide. I have so much room for this focal point, and kind of how movement works on that part of the body. So now what do you want? I want a crazy jungle guy jumping out of the bushes with like a crazy look on his face, like he's getting ready to attack you. Okay, so that's going on your right upper arm. So he's our main guy. He's our main action. So we want him like jumping or pouncing out of maybe some bushes, weeds, some reeds and stuff.
Tiki statue behind him.
Yeah, with like maybe a torch in his hand so we can get a cool light source flashing on him and get some oranges and yellows to really pull him forward. And then he's got some crazy spear. And then behind those reeds and behind him, we've got like the huts, we've got some like silhouetted huts back there with like the little smoke coming off. And then maybe we see some silhouettes of some other crazy guys like coming behind. And then blah. So now we've built this tiered, a lot of distance in there, a lot of depth. We've got this action, this movement coming at you, and we've got a lot of our the space that we have to work with taken up with our focal point, with our main character, which we want everything else to make him look cooler. So we put him in the front and the bottom 2/3, and we have all this fun stuff to do in the back. We could have a freaking pterodactyl or a dinosaur,
volcanoes, anything.
So knowing where it is and knowing how big you want to go is really, really key. And like what you said, reference. Now, there's a million different ways, a million different artists would view that scene, right?
Yeah. So
a black and gray guy is going to see it more fine line. He's going to start breaking it up into darks and lights and finding where his main light source is going to come from and all that. A color guy is going to see it way more illustrated, bold, big fat lines, real big colors, and almost flat cut out of construction paper kind of layers, So getting to know the person and kind of what they see out of all these options can really be solved through those reference pictures. Oh, I saw this. I thought it was cool. I saw this and this was neat. Oh, I like the way the spear looked in this one. Well, we're going to be able to, as artists, look at the commonalities between this art. Oh, it's all finer line stuff. It's not real bold kind of, Bazooka Joe looking stuff. It's a little more, it's on that level. Okay, so that tells me that's kind of what they see and expect,
and
right?
That's a huge part.
Yeah.
Because, having that commonality between all those different elements, bringing something in helps, of course. But yeah, if you got like a bunch of stuff that's just totally different and random, different styles, that kind of makes it a little bit harder.
But that's when
I think it's confusing for a lot of people because they don't understand the technical term of what that style is.
Sure.
Some things I always use when people are talking to me about it is like, so are you know what anime is? And they'll go, yeah, I know what anime is. Well, that's going to be more of your big, bold, cartoony,
new school
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And when they ask, like black and gray is more like etcher, it's more like painting, it's more like drawing, it's more detailed. It looks like somebody spent 2 hours on that sketch.
Mm-hmm.
That's the biggest difference.
And I think a lot of people, they don't know why they like a reference. Like they might like an element of something, but they don't really know.
Catches their eye.
That's when you ask. That's when I'll ask. When I'll get like some new school art, some old school looking stuff, some photorealism, and they're like, I liked this, I like this, I like this. Then I'll just say, what is it about this? Do you like the way it's laid out? Do you like the wing on the guy? What is it? Oh, I just like the way that looks. Okay. But that's fine because that means they like this. Well, if I ask them about the real illustrated old school picture, and I ask them the same thing, what is it about it that you like? Do you like the line weight and how it's real bold and simple, or just the main movement of it, the shape? What is it that you like? I don't know. I like all that. Okay, well that's fine. That means you really don't have. It has to look like this, or you missed.
Right.
So even I don't know is an answer because, okay, you don't know. Cool. Now I do.
Right.
This type of artwork I've done 1,000 times. And in my opinion, which if it matters to you, which it probably does because you're here.
Right.
I think, in my opinion, this type of design on this part of your body, it would really work good this way. It'll give us a chance to do this and this, which will really enhance this design and make it look awesome. Yeah. Then they have the chance to go, that sounds great, because you probably know what you're doing. Or, yeah, that's cool, but I was hoping to get some of this kind of lighter, kind of wispy-ish, more just kind of whatever stuff. Okay. Well, yeah, if we do this part that way, then we can have that, which you like in this photo, and we can also have this that works in that. Or, well, now this is where we come to a crossroads. you can have those, but not in the same place, because it's really, at least this guy, I've never found a real way that I'm happy with, and it really looks good in the way it does in your brain to really translate.
Yeah.
And then they have to decide, well, this guy knows what he's talking about. I don't care what this guy says, but we just have to make the best soup out of the ingredients.
Right.
But at the same time, we have the right to say, as kind of a master chef, hey, paprika in that?
Yeah, we ain't putting cheese on the fish, man.
You need the salt
Man.
and pepper in there.
Right.
Yeah.
Regardless.
And I think the longer we do it, the less, that happens, because, back when I was tattooing, people were coming to me because I did tattoos, because I was a tattoo guy. The more you tattoo, the more people come to you because you're Jimmy, the tattoo guy. And Jimmy, the tattoo guy, is known because of the tattoos he does.
Right.
So you start to realize that, well, you don't have to ask a lot of those questions. They came to you because you've already answered all those questions, and they've answered them to you. They've seen your tattoos, how you do them, what you do. You see what they bring. And through just a few questions, okay, you know what my black and gray or my color work looks like. And from just these few questions I asked you and what you want, I know what you want.
Right.
Already halfway, because you're sitting in front of me and you don't have to be.
Right.
So, but
I find it excites me more these days. Like you said, back in the day, people would come in and like, you had portfolios. Remember the old, the Kodiaks and what was those Polaroids and stuff like that back in the day. And people would look through your books or whatever and like, well, I don't really see anything I want. Well, that's just so you see the style of work I can do, man. Not like pick your the flash on the walls is for that. Mm-hmm. But nowadays people come in and they're like, man, I want this tattoo. This is what I want. And I've looked at a lot of people online, and I wanted a certain way, a certain style, and I'm looking for that style of artists that would do this. And like that really gets me excited when they do that, because like this person's put their time in, they've looked up people, they've come to you because you're Jack or you're Brent or Jimmy or like whoever, and they've really looked at your work and they like something about your work collectively that's what they're looking for. Yeah. And that's really exciting for me, because I'm like, oh man, it's a little pressure too, because you're like, oh shit,
And it saves a lot. And it saves a lot of that mental stress, because, I was guilty of it too back in the day when I was first getting tattooed. To me, a tattoo shop was a tattoo shop. A tattoo artist was a tattoo artist.
Well, there were very few of them.
And there were very few.
Very few.
So, I just figured, well, you do tattoos. This is a tattoo. You can do that. Just do that. And then the more you're into it and the more you realize, oh, tattoo artists are like individual people. Okay. I think right? I get that.
Almost like they're real human.
Yeah, it's strange.
And this is why you should stock your artist before you get your tattoo. Yeah. And I'm not saying follow them around daily.
No.
But
do your research.
Basically, go through and look at their Instagram, look at their social media. Yeah.
Talk to them.
Talk to them.
Talk to people that have been tattooed by them, too.
Yeah, if you can talk to people who have actually had tattoos done by them, you can get a lot of information out of those folks. You can see the work in skin, what it looks like. Finished product. You can find out about their personality.
And just how the whole transaction went.
How the whole thing went.
Were they easy to work with? Did they show up? Did they listen to you? Did they force you out of things that you really want? Yeah.
Right.
Because I've, just like probably every artist that's spent any time in the chair, we hear stories of people who have gone to artists and we've looked at their tattoos and they're freaking beautiful. Yeah. Man, they are. I've seen just the most gorgeous, drooling tattoos on people. And they really don't appreciate it or really like it because the overall interaction, getting it was kind of soured somewhere.
That's sad.
Yeah.
They put on their headphones and didn't talk to me the whole time.
Yeah,
that's
been
sucks. One of them.
That can be
I've heard recently. It's like, no conversation.
Yeah.
Or no personality or rude.
Personality. They didn't even ask me when they moved me. They just kind of grunted. And it's like, and I don't really want to have that experience.
Yeah. Yep.
And I always tell people, like, when they leave, they're like, this is a lot easier than I thought it was going to be, and I actually had fun. I'm like, yeah, this is supposed to be.
It's supposed to be.
It's supposed to be fun, man. Exactly.
And that's like, that's a like kind of that disconnect where it's like, if you're gonna have, you want to have a good time during the tattoo.
Yeah.
And it's it's definitely that inspiration that, you know, because it's collaboration, you know, it's
Absolutely.
the artist and the person coming in and getting the tattoo. You know, you both have to see the same thing, the same result, but you have to be present in that result.
Yeah.
You know, I think
Absolutely.
a little bit just to, you know, engage that kind of, you know, that.
It's a bonding experience.
Yeah,
Yeah, man.
it
I
is.
didn't run away and join the circus to be dull. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I got in this because it's fun. It's carnival-y. It's, you know, I mean, that was the whole atmosphere of it, the taboo of it, you know, the little bit scary, but, you know, you don't know what you're going to get. But that's part of it. Like, that's the whole experience. And if you're not getting all of it, I feel like you're getting cheated.
Yeah, I think the more the person knows the things that are important and the things that they just are going to leave up to you, the better it is on the artist side, because that's really the only pressure or stress I feel during a tattoo is when I'm not 100% sure what the person wants.
Well,
and that's usually because they're not 100% sure
Right.
what they want, and they're not necessarily willing to turn that over to you either.
Right.
They're just going, well, do it, and then I'll decide if I like it or not.
well, even-
and that does not lead to
That
good
doesn't work
results.
good.
No.
And even when they come in and they're like, just, you know, I want this, just do it however you want to do it. That's cool. But I like it when they come in and they're like, man, check it out, dude. I had this idea. I want to do like all this Godfather stuff, or, you know, casino gangster stuff. I want to do a whole gangster sleeve. I'm thinking like money and cigars and booze and shootouts. And I'm like, when they're excited about it, it excites me about it. Cause I'm just excited to give them something that they're all like impressed and worked up and excited about.
Yeah.
Me being able to give them that, it's like your kid wanting, like, I don't know, the coolest G.I. Joe that came out this year.
Yeah.
And you being able to get it for them.
Yeah.
And when they open it that morning, they're just like, oh, I got the one I wanted. You're like, man,
And if they go,
that's what it was all about.
yeah,
That
that's
was
the
work.
one I wanted.
Yeah.
And the only way the do whatever you want thing works is if you actually know the person.
Right.
If you've spent time with them and
Right.
you have tattooed them,
Yep.
in my case, pierced them a number of times,
Oh,
you
yeah.
already kind of have an understanding of what they like,
Yep.
Yeah.
what their style's like, what their fashion sense is, maybe
Yeah.
what their political beliefs are. You know, you have
Whatever.
a basic understanding of what that person is.
Expectations.
Well, you spend so much time
you
with
know,
some of these customers, you know, you build the
somebody
relationships with
if
them.
somebody comes in and you're like, okay, well, I want to do this huge bondage scene on their back.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not show them because they said I could do whatever I want. Well, that person's not going to be happy with that.
No.
You know, when
Yeah.
they go home and they show
Yeah.
it to the wife and the kids want to see dad's new
Yeah, they're like,
tattoo.
what the hell is
Right.
that?
You know,
Yeah.
you can't do that right off the bat.
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
there's a lot of artists out there that have hit a reputation level, but with them, you know, it's like Paul Booth. You were talking about how he hates doing the skulls over and over. Was it guy?
It was
Philip.
Philip Lowe
Philip Lowe.
made a comment on the
Tibetan skulls.
the Tibetan skulls.
Yeah, it's like, you know, if he wanted to bet, you know, if you go to him, you know, and you go, hey, I just want what you do, and he's going to know
Yeah,
because he's done 800 of them and is not going to be
And-
that inspired probably.
and he knows what he's published and what
Right.
he's put out there.
Exactly.
So yeah,
So, you know, you know, I want a horror scene. You go to Paul Booth.
yeah,
Yeah.
You kind of know when they get to that level. But when
Mm-hmm.
you're dealing with, you know, this industry the way it is now, where it's expanded so much,
Yeah.
and you have a much larger group of artists, a much larger
Super talented
group
people
of
out there.
talented people, and a lot of different people with different personalities.
Yep.
You really kind of get to, you know, they need to know you
Yeah.
before they can take that
Well, yeah.
responsibility on, because that's a lot of freaking
and you know
pressure.
that's a good point. You know, because
yeah.
back in the day, you know, back in the day,
Hey man, 30 years ago.
yeah. There. I guess you could just say there wasn't as many choices. I mean, it was literally, you come into the shop and hey, what do you guys do? Well, it's all over
That's
the
on the
wall.
walls. Yep.
Yeah.
Which one do you want? You want that one. Okay. Where at? How big? Okay, great. So there's no conversation of how do you want your line weight? Do you want it colored? Do you
No.
want it black and
No, it
gray?
wasn't
How
that.
do you want it more this style or that style? It was, well, I want
I
that.
want that one. Yeah.
But now in a world of, oh, I have every photo ever created by man in my hand. Click, 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 click. I want a
want this.
bluebird.
We've got
Okay, wait a minute. Do you want
What kind?
which of the infinite amounts of
Bluebirds would you
ways
like?
to do a bluebird do you want? So not only are there infinite ways of doing a bluebird. There are infinite people that are going to do that style of that bluebird in just a little bit different way, you know? So it really makes it harder for the artist, and it more challenging and for the client, because they have to realize when you say, I want a rose to a tattooer, well, 30 years ago, I know what you meant. Now, do you want a photorealistic one sitting in front of a rain-soaked window with, this misty smoke coming up around with no outline? Or do you want, one with a banner underneath that says ride or die with some blood drops and some fire coming off the top, So now that the options have so expanded on what we can produce as artists and what the client has access to as far as imagery, which is infinite, there's a lot more fine-tuning between client and artist that needs to be done or understood, because a lot of times I'll find my clients don't really have an overall finished idea. That's your job, dude. They look at me and no. I just want a dragon with a castle.
Yeah, man, you know what to do.
You're the one who's supposed to make it look cool.
Right.
And I think there is like a big part of that, where how much of it is meaningful in a sense that you're getting this tattoo for, whatever reason, say it's a memorial, or you just like the way it looks.
Yeah.
That feeling behind it, that is a huge part of that inspiration kind of aspect, just how you're going to end up, you want your artist to, well, actually as an artist, I want to engage in, what the overall atmosphere is of the tattoo, like what kind of vibe is it supposed to send out?
It answers so many questions.
Yeah, it does. It really, really does. Because, once you've kind of isolated that and then visually, why it's there and what you like about why it's there, then everything just kind of falls in place.
Right.
It seems like.
Yeah.
Because a lot of that is how that person wants to be visualized by the rest of the world.
Yes. Yes. And that's a huge
it's how
thing.
they perceive themselves,
Right.
fashion. And with piercing, that's the biggest thing I try to kind of dig into. If I have somebody that comes in that has mostly gold on their, gold rings or whatever on their ear, and they say, I want to get an upper ear cartilage, 90% of them are just like, okay, so just give me the basic jewelry. And I'm like, well, the basic jewelry is this much stuff. You could be, and you have to walk them through it and get to know them a little bit more about what they like.
What their expectations are. What
Yes.
they
And a lot of them don't understand that they even have an option.
Right. Or even that they have an expect-ation.
Yeah.
But you do. But it's our job to find it,
on it.
and they don't even know they have it, kind of. And that's why when I will ask them if they give me a bunch of different types of reference, I'll ask them, well, what is it about it you like? Because if they're saying, oh, I like that, and that's a $360 gold piece with a cubic in it, and this is a $17 thing with a piece of green plastic or whatever, okay, so what is it about you like? Well, I like the color on that one. Okay, so you like it because it's gold, not because it has a sparkly thing. So when there's these big differences between these two things that they go, ooh, I like it, can either mean, okay, they don't know exactly what they're liking and what their expectations are of I like it, or they don't know how to convey that, and we've got to be the one to, oh, that's okay,
And guide them through the process.
and if there's a question, go, well, then I'll ask them, so do you want, do you like the way this wing is just nice and bold and each wing is really, popping, or do you like the wing where those feathers, they're kind of more implied and light and kind of fluffy?
Right.
And then I know, then go, okay, so they've got 5 different pictures of wings, and they're all in different kind of styles, but now I know that the style that's really grabbing them is kind of that light or fluffy. It's more of the shape and how,
Yeah, you can pick out what they like out of them.
and then we're not going, well, what do you mean you want a guy jumping out of the bushes? Fuck.
Yeah,
Where do I even start with that? You know?
Sometimes those are exciting too, though, because we'll have sessions at night where the 3 of us will sit together and we read off our consult. All right, man, I got a customer that wants a fox, a cedar, something with cedar in it, and my grandma's quilt pattern. Remember that one?
Yeah.
And we were all like, at first, we're all sitting and looking at each other like, did you even have a consult, or did you talk on the phone to this person? Like, what's
Right.
going on? And so we get all the information out of them, just like we got it, and all of us will draw something how we see it.
Right.
And then when we compare it, and like we're all sharing it amongst each other on our Procreate, and we're like, dude, that's so cool. I didn't even think about doing it this way. And like, I like how you did this. And so you find stuff to incorporate and put, and you build something basically out of nothing.
Yeah.
And man, when the customer sees it, 9 times out of 10, they're just like, oh, dude, that's better than what I was thinking. Like,
yeah. Yeah,
it's so much fun to me.
And that's and more I think the clients are leaving that to us. And when you've been in it a long time and you've never really had those questions before, and now you do, you've got to it's reading the customer, and which customers are like, oh, dude, I can't. However you do, it's going to be the right way.
Right.
Yeah. And some people are like, well, if it doesn't look like Sarah's, well,
it's not exactly like the one in the picture.
But
like, okay, well,
Sarah's, in my opinion, and I assume you came to me because you've seen my work, and you are going to assume that I'm doing things the right way, not automatically assume, well, you didn't do it the way this guy who does it wrong does it, so that must mean you're wrong. Yeah. So getting to know the expectations of the person, because that's really the big thing. Some people will come in and go, I want a photorealistic portrait on the back of my hand. And that's terrifying for a portrait guy, at least for me, living in the Midwest with temperatures and work, blue collar people and all this stuff. Man. And, okay, well, what are your expectations? How are you seeing this photograph? Are you seeing it like, a portrait done this big on a chest that's got, all these tiny little things that was healed under the best conditions, and there will be some people that if you don't know their what they expect or what their what their expectations are, you can either way overshoot or way kind of undershoot what they're seeing,
right?
Especially as kind of a walk-in guy who hasn't been in it a whole long time. And to you, well, this is the way me and all the guys do it. This is just how we do it. Biggity bam. And you put it on, and then the person's like, ugh. So it's, I've told people that, this should be your expectations of what a portrait is going to be like, having on the back of your hand, what it's going to be like healing it, what you expect down the road. These are the downsides of having it. And if you're willing to take on all those little risks to have it on your hand, great. So am I.
And even little minor changes to, something that's like photorealistic, like maybe a little bit of an extra boldness on the edges, just to kind of, get that shape kind of hammered out.
Because it's on your hand, we don't have that little delicate leeway that sometimes we do. So normally I wouldn't put a line here, or I wouldn't bump up the contrast here. But on a hand, we're going to lose about 11% of that mid-range. So I don't have the option of just putting a little shadow there, because 8 out of 10 times we're going to lose most of that.
Soft stuff is.
And even if we get it to heal in 5 years because your hands are being cooked and beaten all the time, it's going to be gone. So letting people know, that can be done, but it's not going to light up and make you pancakes. But before, you didn't have that. But now with the age of, I've got every image ever created by man in the palm of my hand, now do it. Okay. Where are your expectations, and what
another thing that excites me, it gets me excited about tattooing, is when like you come, or you and a friend come, but not you and like a posse comes. Like, don't bring 20 people with you to get tattooed, because that is not exciting. That is not exciting to me at all.
It takes attention away from what you're doing, no matter what. Whether you realize it or not as an artist, it does distract you.
It does.
It changes you from being like the main focus of what's going on to the waiter.
Right.
Yeah. You're just coming in periodically to just be quiet. And
service, and I've been treated that way.
I have too, and I don't really I don't enjoy that very much.
No, this is my thing. Stop interrupting me.
I need them to focus on
I need them to
me.
focus on what's going on here.
And not to be the center of the attention or anything, but like we're performing the only kind of art in this whole world that it requires two people to do.
Except piercing.
So this guy.
Body mod.
So
Surgery, things like that.
Yeah.
if you're on a tattoo, man, you either have to tattoo yourself or have another person who's willing to sit there and let you do your art on them.
Yeah.
So me and that other person, we need to be on the same page. And when you got 10 friends with you and they're talking about, well, Susie went out last night with Ricky, and Ricky, oh, really? What happened? Like, well, hey, can you sit still? Yeah, well, but you can't be distracted.
The opportunity for you
by
to
this
move
other stuff,
just goes through the roof, each person in the room.
Right. And when I've got your arm and I'm like, okay, I'm going to rotate you over a little bit. Like, well, you didn't hear me say I'm going to rotate you over a little bit because you heard Ricky and Susie or whatever at the bowling alley. So like, I'm like, and then you're like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm trying to move your arm so I can keep tattooing. We're tattooing, remember?
Yeah.
Like, well, hey,
remember me?
Remember me?
I
Like,
say that say that a lot. Like, yeah, remember me?
Like, as long as you've got a great attitude, you've got a good idea of what you want when you come in, and you're excited about it. That excites us. You know what I mean?
The better we know what you want.
And see, one of my favorite, and I think most of us, maybe even myself included, fall into this category. We don't know anything about art, but we know what we like. And if you focus on what you like, 10 times, if you can communicate that to your artist, they're going to be inspired by that. They're going to take extra time with that because they're fired up to do it, and you're going to have a better outcome.
Yeah.
And it's finding those trigger words and things to kind of make people go, oh, okay, yeah, those little nuggets. And sometimes it just takes time. And references and everything else. When people come in to get pierced, it's like, I think most of them, and part of this, you deal with this with tattooing because especially when you have older clients, because I notice the difference when I'm up front or whatever, petting the dog and killing time, is if they've come from that older school of you get, what's the name of that pattern over there on that flash wall?
The X80 rows.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to do the 800th X80 rows that I've done in the last 2 weeks. If they come from that, that's what they expect.
Yeah, it's kind of
and
their
they're confused
expectations
by this whole idea of, well, you sit down and you figure out what you're going to get. You want me to do work and show you what I want?
Right.
And it's like, and they'll get kind of indignant about it, and then they'll get indignant about the price. I haven't been tattooed in 30 years. I don't understand why. It's like I had a comment the other day. It's like, I want to get my eyebrow re-pierced, and I go around all these shops, and it's $80. I don't understand why it's so much more expensive than it was 20 years ago.
Nothing else is more expensive.
And it's like, well, where are you at? And I found out they were in California, and I'm like, well, the difference between then and now is it used to not be regulated, so there was not all this overhead, and they weren't required to use, or they didn't have to submit verification of the certified biocompatible.
We're the government.
Materials.
We're here to help.
This one kind of did from the standpoint of, it's not all Asia jewelry made of God knows what.
Yeah, you no
it's
longer
like
buy
that's where
bags
those
of
$30
cheap jewelry online. Remember those things, man? Oh,
Crazy
Lord.
Eddie, I've got 1,000 rings for $5.
Yeah, you got like a
DaVo hates
block of that stuff.
DaVo hates the Asians.
No,
he
instantly turns your skin green.
Exactly
oh yeah, green. You got green stuff and all that.
Anyway, but
yeah, especially
prices go up and
W.C. Fields thing. I hate children, or I love children, especially those between the ages of 18 and 21.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway,
but yeah, it's a lot
part
of difference.
It's just educating.
Yeah,
and it's like I always say, and I'm almost done, Jimmy.
No,
I promise. One thing is I believe 90% of my job is education. Yep. Because a person coming in has no idea. They have no idea there's all these options. Because the last time they got pierced, it was like, you want a ball, or do you want a ball with a little crystal in it? Yeah. And that's the only choices or options they had. And it does come down to like sitting there and going, okay, well, what color do you want? What's your favorite color of stone? What's your this? Do you not like glittery stuff? You look like you're wearing mostly solid stuff. Do you want character settings? How about a cat or a devil's head? And you get into people's heads. It's the same thing with you guys. The more open you are with your artist, the better the result.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Let them know what your expectations are, and it's our job to ask the right questions to as easily get to that answer as we can. And we, no matter how long a guy's been tattooing, it doesn't take long to really deal with all kinds of people, you know, and the hardest, or I think what gets in the way the most out of all those kinds of people are the ones that think that they have to know everything when they get here and want to tell you all these things that they assume that you're just going to want to hear, and they want to be this person that's got it all figured out. Yeah. And
you don't have to watch a bunch of Ink Master before you come in and tell me all these terms.
No.
I don't need all that.
You know,
like,
prove that you're an inside.
I don't even know some of the terms myself on, you know, some technical whatever, this and that. I don't know what that's called, but I know how to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, like, you know, what are you wanting out of this tattoo? Is it like a something special you want to keep in your pocket until you die, or is it something that you want to wear that when you look at yourself in the mirror, it feels right to be there, like you wanted this thing to
it's part of you
wear, or do you just need this thing for you here? It you know, doesn't really even have to be huge. It's not to make me aesthetically look different. I'm not wearing it. I'm keeping it. You know, so just knowing those little things is, you know, okay, well, if this is just kind of a little talisman you want to keep with you to remind you of this thing, okay, I'm in that headspace. If this is something that I have to tailor to fit you, and I need to see the spot we're going, and I need to watch and see how your body is to how we can place this thing, well, then I can put my energy there. So just asking the right questions from our side can make things way easier for them, because like DaVo was saying, well, I just want an ice cream. Yeah, but do you want a small, medium, large? Do you want it dipped? Do you want stuff drizzled over it? Do you want crunchy stuff? Do you want sweet stuff? Do you want sprinkles? Do you want a cherry on top? And they're like, they're like, I just want that really good ice cream. I always get the good ice cream when I come here. Just give me the good ice cream. And so that, when it comes, now that in our ballpark, the wrong answer, I feel, is, yeah, but you can choose all these things. Well, they just told you, I don't want to choose all that shit. I just want it good. Mm-hmm. I've been here before, and I've been happy. That's why I'm back. And when I was here before, you didn't have all this bullshit. So if you think maybe adding a little bit really helps, and something that most people really like and is something that I might miss, if it's not there, put it on. If it's not, don't. I come here because I can sit down, we get along, and every time I leave, I like what I get, and I don't have to hassle about it. So it's learning that client kind of what their expectations are, and some people would rather you just do it, and because you did it and that's the choice you made, it's the right choice, and it looks nice.
Yep.
Right. So trying to beat it out of them,
right,
it's just hurting both of you. You know.
I find going to conventions a lot of times too, and being around other artists and other tattooing, and seeing all kinds of new stuff that you're not normal seeing because it's not in what you do every day. Mm-hmm. That's usually exciting for me. That traveling, like, that's all I can think of.
Recharges my batteries.
It excites me to tattoo. Mm-hmm. But every day I get up, just yay, I get the tattoo.
Yeah.
I'm bummed out if I don't get the tattoo. Like.
Yeah.
I was trying to explain that to somebody the other day. It's like, it's like, oh, it really sucks to get you down when you're not doing as much, and it's like, really, it's because I'm not interacting with other people and I'm not piercing.
Yeah, I'm not doing why I'm on the planet
so
Earth.
You like to
This is the only job in the world that I go on vacation and I'm like, how long till we get home? Yeah, because I want to go back to tattooing.
Or we bring some equipment with us because we know that there's a good chance that there'll be a friend or family member that we could work on.
That helps.
Off the minute I leave.
Yeah,
I have this saying, this ritual of taking like all the shop keys and setting them on the dresser the minute I get ready to walk out the door.
Yeah.
So that I can't think about anything that has to do with the shop. Because I took a vacation once where I spent the whole time on the phone checking to make sure there were messages or emails, calling in and checking in with the person that was working for me. It was not restful, and I came back more drained, I think, than before.
But to me, that's different. See, that's running a business and making sure all those T's are being crossed and the I's are being dotted and things are open and closed and all that. And the other is just doing what you enjoy on somebody you love or somebody that you hope to develop a friendship, a new friend, and you know, it's
if I'm out,
it's all the syrup and the waffles and the
dude.
you know, with no bill.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I can be anywhere in the world on vacation. If I've got my tattoo kit with me, you know, chances are if we're out on a cruise or another country or whatever we're doing, we're in a hotel, it doesn't take me long to make friends with people.
Yeah.
I'm kind of annoying. Like, if we're in the elevator together, I'm going to talk to you.
Yeah.
If you're staring at me especially, I'm going to talk to you.
Right.
So I can meet people, you know, that like tattoos anywhere I go. And the fact that we can have enough time or whatever where I got my kit with me, you want to do a little something, like, okay, cool, yeah, that'd be rad.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
why not?
It really, it's like I guess it's like a drug addict, you know. You're out and about and you're looking to get high all day. Well, that's our high, is doing what I love to do, is tattooing, putting something on, like being able to do it.
Right.
You know, and I don't know, up till this year I'd gone to Sturgis 16 years in a row.
Yeah.
And I've never been to Sturgis without taking my tattoo stuff, ever.
Yeah, me either.
I couldn't imagine going there without it.
No.
You know?
Yeah. So, and I've been on both sides of that, have been in kind of I just don't want to think about the shop. I just want to be a person on the planet right now and not be a tattoo guy. And it didn't take long for me to realize that separation, like the shop and tattooing are kind of two different things. You know,
a weekend seems like a good amount of time to not tattoo for a minute.
Yeah.
Even being distracted by noises.
Yeah, what's up?
It's like
Spirits, we're going to have the ghost hunting series next
suddenly
year.
they're
Watch
tearing
this.
up something.
She has a mic. Oh, they're downstairs?
Yeah.
Oh, they're downstairs banging on stuff?
Yeah.
Well, that's why I kept looking. I felt like the cartoon with
I know what they're
the saw
doing.
through the floor.
They're playing ping pong.
Oh.
No, I haven't really heard it too much, but
I heard a little bit. I thought it was like, you know, the being on cartoons with little saw pokes through the floor and sawing yourself.
Oh, that'd be hilarious.
Am I getting ready to fall through the floor?
Yeah.
The whole building drops. We're just like centered here.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I think we did a good job with that.
I think we did.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it comes down to just knowing the right questions and the right things to ask. And you learn that. And, you know, don't feel embarrassed if you feel like you're...
No, man.
And if you're in a situation where you're asking those questions and the person isn't answering it and they start to feel like you're annoying them, that is not probably the person you should have doing your tattoo.
No.
Piercing.
Yeah, that's part of the whole sit down and talk. You know, I don't, you know, thank God that, you know, nine times out of 10 I have a consult. They do end up setting something up, but I don't take for granted that, okay, I'm going to be tattooing you. I look at it as, okay, you've got some ideas and you want to talk to me about them and maybe get some guidance or, you know, a little fuel on that and decide if that's where you want to go, and that you may need more time to think about it. You're here to meet me, ask how and what I would do with this idea.
Yeah, it's like a tryout, you know?
Right.
And I, like, when you give me that exception of setting an appointment, I don't take for granted that I'm on the team. I'm like, all right, I got a shot to try to make the team. So now I need to perform as best I can when they come in, because that's your final performance. You know, whether you have a customer for life or you don't ever see them again. You know?
Yeah, very true.
And they shouldn't feel obliged to.
Not at all.
You know, if you're going in for a consult
You don't
and
have
you
to
don't
set
have
up.
a connection with the artist, and it doesn't seem like the artist has that, you know, they're not going to be able to do what you want them to do, or maybe they're, you know, just not in that headspace, or they're they were rude,
Or
maybe they smelled like fish, or I don't know,
Or maybe they made
whatever reason. You don't have to, you know, book it.
Maybe
you
they
know?
made you realize that you've got some more thinking to do. That you brought up some questions that I hadn't really thought of.
Sure.
That's great because the more questions you have answered in your own head, the easier it's going to be for us to get to you what you are wanting.
Yeah, man.
So I mean, it doesn't take, you know, people are so shy sometimes. They'll come in and they think they have this idea that they're almost kind of embarrassed about, or like they think it's not cool enough for you to do, or something like that.
Yeah. Any tattoo is cool.
And
any tattoo.
And trust me, just give me it, have a little faith, and I'll make it. It's going to be, I mean, I'm here tattooing. Give me an idea, and
we're gonna do it.
You don't have to worry about that.
It's going to be cool.
Yeah, it's going to be cool.
Exactly.
So, I like that.
I think it was Miss Angel that said this in an interview like years ago, right when I first started piercing. In fact, I think it might have been an interview for Piercing Fans Quarterly International or one of those magazines. And she goes, I have always perceived myself as an ambassador for piercing, and I kind of always look at it the same way. If you come in and I want to educate you as much as I can in the short period of time we have together, and if you decide I'm not the person for you or you need to wait on this, I'd much rather have you walk away with that understanding that there are people in the industry that are willing to take that time with you and that are excited about what they do for a living and are passionate about what they're
Exactly.
Because like people always are asking me on the channel and comments like, do you know somebody in Dearborn, Michigan? I'm like, no, I don't. I'm sorry. And the thing I always try to bring up is find somebody that's passionate. Or they say, I wish I lived near you. You know, I'm like, just find somebody in your area that's passionate, because I can guarantee you, if you live in an area where there's more than 100,000 people there and somebody is in this profession, they're passionate about it.
Yeah.
You're going to find them.
There's going to be one of them in that.
There's way more of us now than it was when we started coming up.
Oh, hell
you know,
Which makes it easier and harder.
Yeah.
You have a bigger box to dig through.
Yeah, you got a bigger box.
But you're more likely
to find the right fit.
But there's more of them out there. So, yeah.
And it's easier to access.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you don't have to have a business card from a buddy. You can just jump on the brain.
Like,
and
hey, I met this dude one time. He gave me a thing. You got to go to this door on Wednesday. You know,
and the code word is chili.
Chili. If you don't know chili, man, you're out.
Yeah.
You're beans. Chili at the door. They're not going to let you in.
Is that the red or the green?
Tuesday.
Man,
and
so
on
many
Wednesdays, you want to say this.
Clam chowder.
Say so-and-so sent you.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's good for now.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening or watching, whatever you're doing right now. We're going to try to get these back out on a regular basis. Usually we do the video version on one Sunday, and then the Sunday after that we follow with the audio version. Till next time, here's hoping all your tattoos and piercings heal with ease and without a single issue. And if you're in the Des Moines, Iowa area, we would all love to see you for your tattooing and body piercing needs in the future. Have a good day, everybody. Take care.
Be good, guys.